Here's how we made our AI assistant actually useful. We've got from something like this, which can answer basic questions, deal with complaints by just routing them forward to a team member, and book appointments through gathering lead information from name, phone number, email, and address, to something that looks like this. Not only is it so much more on brand, but there's three huge components that we've recently added that elevates into a genuinely beneficial product that can really streamline your customer handling process. The first one I'm going to go through is how we actually embedded videos directly within the bot. This could be from a YouTube video. This can be a Vimeo link. You can use these for referrals, testimonials. If you have different projects or things that you guys work on, instead of just sending huge text, hey, say, look at this video. If you have a webinar, for example, and you want people to take a look at it before they even get on a call with you, you can embed it here directly within your AI assistant, and you can customize it to only send videos that you want to send over. The second part I'm going to go into is embedding Calendly within the actual assistant. Instead of having to go through a complex routing system like we had in one of our previous videos, we are now able to directly incorporate Calendly inside of the assistant. I'm also going to go through how we added the functionality of being able to upload documents, pictures. In this specific use case, we're using it for the home renovation space. So if somebody has an issue with something's leaking, something's broken, something's flooded, for your own records and to be able to serve customers faster, they can now upload pictures. Not only does it help you, but also help the customer feel like they're generally being taken care of and they're talking to a real human being who wants to help them as much as possible and isn't just dismissing them. Not only do you get all of these records, but they're also coming straight into your inbox to be able to see what's going on. This is going to be a big video, so I'm going to put timestamps to all of the different elements on the screen somewhere if you want to skip ahead to what actually interests you. However, we're going to go through how to build one of these from the ground up through VoiceFlow. I'm going to show you how we connect it into RelevanceAI, which gives the smart aspect of it. I'm going to go through how we connect VoiceGlow, which is what allows us to give it this widget appearance and a Calendly link, as well as the video embeddings. I'm also going to show you how we connect it to Airtable as a database of where to collect all of this information. Let's jump right into it. I think the best place to start is going to be directly on VoiceFlow, which is what we're using to build this entire system. If you've never used VoiceFlow, it's become a really popular platform on how to build AI chatbots. Think of it as kind of this tree to be able to connect different cards, right? And if a person says this, then go here, etc. So if you haven't already, make an account on VoiceFlow and then create a new project, and your screen should look something a little bit like this. It's going to be blank. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to show you what this looks like from an eagle's eyes view. We have the home part, we have the complaint aspect of it or the issue. We have get more lead info, which is when somebody's interested in our services and becomes a lead. We have to collect some info. Last but not least, we also have the Q&A part. I'm going to leave this for last, as we're going to use this to connect to Relevance, which is what's going to allow us to connect our entire system to ChatGPT and be able to answer questions in a smart manner. Going back to home, I'm going to zoom in here. The first thing we're doing is we're just saying, hi, this is E from X. And to make any of these cards, you have plenty of options on the left. Keep in mind, when you are building these robots, that the talk, listen, and logic, you're speaking from the robot's perspective. So when you say talk, that's from the assistant's perspective. When you say listen, it's also from the assistant's perspective, which means that you're waiting for some sort of user input. First thing we're doing is we're saying hi, and you can customize these to your liking. This is really just to give you an idea of what this would look like in production. And then we have a menu which says, how can I help? A couple different options, from book an appointment to ask a question. I've had an issue with your service or a complaint of some manner. What do you guys do? Which is where we're going to use the video embedding. And then no match, which is just if somebody says something that isn't really clear within these three categories, we're just sending them directly to ChatGPT to try to figure out what it is that they're trying to ask. Starting on the Calendly section, what we've done is if somebody says book an appointment, where they're going to go is on the get lead info. Now, what we've done in order to get to this get lead info screen, this is called a component, which is a really easy way to be able to duplicate sort of modules or arms in different VoiceFlow projects. So if you click on book an appointment here and scroll down, attach intent action, go to start block, and the start block is taking you here. As you can see, components, get the info, start, which is basically all it's doing is say, start from here, from this continue step right here. So once you've connected that to the actual component in get the info, and this is just some generic, glad you want to talk to us. What is your name? What is the best phone number to reach you? What's the best email for you? Where is a property you'd like to discuss? And what is the city? Now, every one of these has two cards, let's call them. First one is an input or an output, which is a talk card, text one saying, hey, what's your name? What we're doing after is we're just capturing the entire user reply using the listen card. And we're just assigning whatever the user says to a variable called username. We're doing the same for phone. We're doing the same for email, same for address, and the same for city. You can go ahead and add or remove as many of these as you would like. But for most cases, this is something, especially if you're doing anything that you have to actually go to the customer's home, you're going to need most of this information, especially the address and city. Once they fill out all this information, we're then sending them to a node called set lead info to make. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I go back to home. And the reason why, by the way, we separate these into components is just to keep this screen clear. Because you could have all of this in one screen, but then you would just have hundreds and hundreds of cards, especially in a production setting. Because keep in mind, this is just for example, meaning that plenty of features that we would have in a production for a client of ours, there would be plenty of things that we haven't included here, just because the objective of this video isn't to clutter you with a bunch of features that aren't relevant to this specific. But whenever they do answer the get lead info, they're taken to this card, which, as you remember, is called set lead info to make. Now, what this is doing is we're sending a post request. Now, this request doesn't exist in this example, but we are sending a post request to make, which would then catch it through a webhook. And then that information, you would be able to do whatever you would like with it. What we do is we send an email, we update an Airtable record, and we also notify the customer that, hey, look, you've had a new lead. And now the more interesting part, at least for us, is right after that, we're saying, thank you, we've received your info, we'll reach out as soon as we can. Here are our upcoming availabilities. Now, what we've done, we've actually embedded Calendly directly within the AI assistant so that people can go ahead and just book an appointment, book a consultation, book an inspection. Here's how to do that. Now, the way that we're actually able to embed Calendly within our assistants and do every other functionality that I told you about earlier is by using this amazing brand new tool that I just found out about called VoiceGlow. If you haven't heard of it just yet, I highly suggest taking a look at it. All of the links are going to be in the description to actually access it, as well as the owner's YouTube channel. But this is fantastic. It's built off of VoiceFlow, which means that it is compatible and it is meant to be used in combination with VoiceFlow to make your bots so much more powerful. You can change the colors. It's a much more visually appealing assistant. And if I go look at some of the features of VoiceGlow, you'll see here you can embed. There's file upload, which we're going to use as well later. There's iframe, which is what we're going to use for the video embeddings. There's select, which means you can give users a list of options and you can allow them to select multiple ones and then have different paths depending on the number that they selected, as well as the combinations of what they selected, if that makes sense. What we're using to actually embed Calendly is this embed function. So what you're going to want to do is click on this link right here. Once you go to VoiceGlow, click on extensions, and you're going to see VG template download because you can't simply copy it from this. So all you need to do is click on VG download template, and you're going to get a download for a VoiceGlow file. Open that file up, and it's going to look like this. Once you're within that file, you can see all of the different functionalities that you can do with VoiceGlow. One of them being file upload, website embed, iframe embedding, as well as the list embedding that I was talking about earlier. You're going to want to go ahead and copy the iframe embedding you can click on the top right, use trackpad, and just copy this and place it in your voice project, which is this. And all you have to do, genuine, click on action body and go to your Calendly page and just copy and paste this link into here, remove anything that's extra. I can just remove all of it. And there you go. That's basically all you have to do. Once you have that set up, now here's where things get a bit different or a bit more advanced. This won't work directly on VoiceFlow. VoiceFlow has a publishing feature where you can use they'll provide you the code to be able to publish it on a website. However, for this to work, you actually have to use VoiceGlow's embeddings. They're super simple to set up. Here's how. All you're going to need to do from the VoiceGlow extensions screen, which is what we were looking at earlier, simply go on the left-hand side, click on widget, and then either create a new widget or just click on the one that you were working on. Then once you're actually inside the widget, there's a couple different options. They're actually pretty straightforward. You can name it however you want. If you're familiar with VoiceFlow, this would be a equivalent of going to integrations and then on publish. It will be just this, but instead of having this to work with, you are now working with this. You can title it, you can name it, how can we help you, the branding. The one thing that you're going to want to take into consideration whenever you're setting up VoiceGlow is the VoiceFlow Dialog API key, which is basically how does VoiceGlow know what to say next to the customer. To get this API key, go back into VoiceFlow and go to Dialog API and simply copy this API key right here, paste it right here, and you're done. That's literally all you have to do for this to work. Name it however you'd like. You can change the colors. You can't change the font just yet, but you can change the icons. You can even change the background, which I really, really love. You can change the color right here. I like yellow because it fits in with our brand colors. Record chat history. In here, you can also change the proactive message, which is a little thing that pops up. Fantastic. Now that you have, and that's literally all you have to do in order to connect this to VoiceFlow. It's super simple. When you can test it directly within VoiceFlow, keep in mind, if you do want to test this chatbot, you always have to republish on VoiceFlow first, because this is just like an icing on top of the VoiceFlow cake. Everything that happens is based on VoiceFlow. This just makes it look nicer and also makes it more functional. Now, I'm going to get out the deployment part of it out of the way, out of the gate right now, because I do think that it is this pretty simple and straightforward. Once you're happy with how your bot looks like, just click on deploy widget. All it's going to do after it loads is going to give you a couple different scripts to actually install on your website. Now, if you're familiar with this, then I don't really have to explain it. And if you aren't, and there's somebody else who's handling your website for you, just send them this. Don't know exactly what to do with it. It's really straightforward. Just copy and paste onto your website HTML code, and you're done with that. So that is the one key difference between using purely VoiceFlow and using VoiceFlow and VoiceGlow. You're removing the embedding of VoiceFlow from your website and using VoiceGlows instead. By the way, if I didn't mention this whole system that I just showed you, VoiceGlow, is free. I'm very surprised that it is free, but if you aren't on it just yet, I don't think it's going to stay free for much longer. So give this guy some love. This is a fantastic product and we've been using it. We're starting to roll it out for our clients, and the amount of just positive reception that we've had has been amazing. So if you aren't using this just yet, this is the sign to start using it. Now, getting back into VoiceFlow, you'll notice that most of the main components that I mentioned earlier in this video, the embedding of the YouTube video, the embedding of Calendly, as well as the uploads of pictures, are using VoiceGlow as the backend for that. But continuing on, after you've embedded Calendly, then you can just treat this as a regular VoiceFlow project. You can add buttons where it says, I booked a date, or please call me first. And it says, thank you. And in the meantime, was there anything else I could help with? Blog that says yes or no match, which means that if somebody answers something that isn't either a yes, okay, sure, or a no, then we're just sending whatever they sent over to Relevance, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And if they say yes, it also takes them to Relevance. If they say no, it says, okay, if you need something, please reach out. And that's the end of that. And that is how you can simply embed Calendly right after your lead gathering or lead qualifying questions. Now, going back to the start of VoiceFlow, I'm going to skip ask a question, as we're going to leave everything relating to relevance to the end with the Airtable. Now, I'm going to go directly into the I had an issue with your service, or if anybody has a complaint, this is where we're taking them. Now, I'm using this as an example to show the benefits of being able to upload files directly onto your assistant, but you can do this for a multitude of different possibilities, from not only dealing with complaints, but also if you're expecting a document from your customer, you could have them sign into an account and then ask them, okay, well, could you please upload X document for us to be able to update your account? So what we've done is, if somebody clicks on I've had an issue with your service, it's taking them to a new component, which is called complaint. And that looked like this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And all we're saying is, hey, look, I'm sorry to hear that. We're always trying to delight our customers, and we apologize if it falls short for you. We're asking them to elaborate on what happened. And then we're capturing whatever they said to a variable called last utterance. Now, this is also an interesting part, because since we're using this as a complaint handler, not everything required a picture. Not everything could benefit from pictures. If somebody had a negative experience with a customer service agent, it doesn't really make sense to ask them to upload a picture. Now, that would also very much break the illusion of, hey, I'm talking to an actual human being. So how do we counter that? Well, all we've done is we've used the AI step here, the set AI, and I've told the AI basically to say, you're answering a question. You're answering a customer for a home improvement company who has had an issue with our service. You are tasked with determining whether the complaint below requires or could benefit from a picture. For example, somebody mentioning that they've noticed damage somewhere or that they have a leak somewhere could benefit from a picture, right? If they say, hey, look, my roof is damaged or my basement is flooded, my front yard's a mess. Those are the sort of things that would benefit from a picture. Now, there's only 3 options of answer that you have, and they are as follows. This is for a JavaScript statement. So answer case sensitively as shown below. I've included this so that it doesn't start putting commas and capitalization where it's not required. If it could benefit from a picture, respond with the exact and only word picture. If the picture isn't beneficial, such as a customer service complaint, respond with the exact and only word not necessary. And if it's not a complaint, or if the user input isn't related to an issue or complaint that they have had, respond with the exact word unrelated. The third one is that if we ask for for details on what happened, and then they say, well, I'd like to put an appointment, that doesn't really fall within a picture or not a picture, and we don't want to get it stuck. Because what's important to keep in mind whenever you're building these things is the robot will try answer as best as it can, based on what you tell it. So if you say, look, you have to answer within 2 parameters, which is picture or no picture. If you give something which is completely unrelated, it's still going to try to answer with a picture or no picture. And that will very easily break your system, at least from the customer's perspective. So it's always good to give some sort of out. In this case, we just say, look, if it's something that's unrelated, just say unrelated. And what we're doing after that, we are then acknowledging the issue. And all we've told us is once again another talk AI. Now we're using response AI because we actually want to talk using the bot. Previously, we were using set AI, which is, look, answer this, but don't say anything. Just set it to a variable. And that variable was complaint classifier. Once we classify the complaint, we're then acknowledging the issue using a prompt, which is pretty simple, saying, look, you're answering a customer for a home improvement company who has an issue with our service, answer, and then within parentheses or curly braces, the complaint empathetically, reassuring the user that we take their concern very seriously and do not take responsibility or mention that we are liable in any way. This is just to protect yourself. If somebody says, well, look, you guys said you would take care of this and you said you would fix it, but if it has nothing to do with your company, it's just to avoid any liability on that end, keep things cleaner. Do not ask them to do anything or submit any info. All you need to do is acknowledge the issue, and that we'll do our best to make it right. Keep it short and do not ask any questions. We say this because we don't want it to just start asking questions about, could you please give me more detail? That's irrelevant. The objective here is not to figure out what went wrong as far as giving me more details. That is for the customer service agent to figure out. We just need a really good starting. After that, we're then using a condition statement in voice flow. And all it says, and you get to this card by using the logic button here and using the if card. We're saying there's 4 different conditions. If complaint classifier contains picture, then do one thing. If complaint classifier contains not necessary, which means no picture is necessary, then do another, go somewhere else. Or you could say something which is unrelated, which means that if the complaint classifier is equal to unrelated, you could send somewhere else, such as a relevance, which is ChatGPT, and ask me to try to figure out from there. Or you could send them back to the main menu. It's really up to you. And then else, which means that if the complaint classifier isn't one of these 3, we want to send it, there's been an error, because it has to be one of these 3. And because if you remember in here, we told it the only 3 things you can answer are picture, not necessary, or unrelated, which means that if this is something else, that means there was an error somewhere along the way. So all we've done is we've zoomed out a little bit. We follow this line. You'll see I sent it to a block called block 6. There seems to be an error. Please call us for assistance. That's just to avoid any problems, especially with this prompt right here. Now, assuming that the complaint that the customer placed would benefit from a picture, all we're doing is we're asking them right after, well, to be able to serve you better, would you be able to provide us with a picture of the issue? If the basement is flooded, if the floor cracked, if the roof, the shingles are already falling off and just got installed, or if it's leaking somewhere, then yes, they would very highly benefit from, you would highly benefit from having a picture of what's going on. So we're giving them 2 options using the buttons right here. So either yes, upload a picture, which I'm going to get into in 1 second, or no. If they say no, which means they don't want to upload a picture, then we're just following this blue line. We're going directly to, can you please send me your address? And then it's going to capture the user reply to a variable called address. Would you please provide me your name, capturing it to name. And then we're sending that over to Make, which is going to notify you or whoever's responsible for handling with customer complaints. And then it says, I notified the team and we'll get back to you on that ASAP. Is there anything else I can do in the meantime? Now, assuming most likely if there is a genuine issue, they're going to want to upload some sort of picture, right? For your records, for their records, etc. We're also using a voice glow embedding. This one, in order to find it, you simply click on, go back to the voice flow or voice glow project. And all you have to do, scroll up and you'll see the file upload section. You just copy and paste this entire thing and paste it back into your project. Like the name suggests, copy and paste it here, connect it to the card that's relevant, capture the entire user reply. Because basically what we're doing is you don't actually have to change very much here. Use the file upload signature, and then it'll show them an icon, which looks like this. I'm just showing you through our website for an example. But if somebody has a problem, says, my basement is flooded. I'm sorry your basement flooded. That sounds like a really tough situation. I understand this must be concerning for you. And then, yes, I would like to upload a picture. What he's going to do, he's going to say, hey, look, drag and drop a file here. Once they click on that, it's going to open File Explorer. They can drop a picture or whatever evidence they have. So right after they upload that, this is going to check whether the file link, because when it's sent through VoiceGlow, it's coming as a link. If the link does contain HTTPS, then that's great. It was a picture. Fantastic. We're saying thank you. And then we're going all the way back up to, could you provide me your address? If there isn't a link, meaning that they uploaded something completely different, let's say they wrote something else, then we're just going to completely ignore that. And we're just going to keep moving to, could you please provide me your address? And then could you please provide me your name? Going back to the initial flow. And just like that, we are now able to upload pictures to a database. And by the way, for example, this is what it looks like whenever you do receive on our end, since we've connected it to Make right here. This is what it looks like when we receive complaints from customers. I haven't included subject, urgent customer complaint notification. And then this is just a picture of a customer service agent. Please reach out to them immediately. This is just the first picture I had as I was testing this. You can see it immediately within your email, what's going on and what the problem is. And that is how you can use the file upload feature to actually streamline and help your customers feel more value, feel like they're actually genuinely talking to somebody who cares about them, and to also help you deal with whatever issue comes up. Or if you're using this for a case where somebody has to upload documents to a Google Drive, for example, or to a Dropbox, here's how you can integrate it directly without having to send emails, links, whatever. The last sort of feature using VoiceGlow that I want to showcase in this video was the video embedding feature. Now, the main use case that I would see for this are as follows. If you have a webinar, if you're an agency, if you if you help agencies make more sales, whatever, and you want to send them free resources as to stuff that they can watch, or if you have a call with something like a consulting call, and you want them to have a bit of context about you before you ever gonna have a call with them, they'll be very useful to have them watch something. But instead of having them go through their email or go through Facebook Messenger and just add that friction, you can embed these videos that you want them to watch directly within your bot. This is what it looks like practically. Let's say somebody goes on our website and like, hey, this is Eve from etc. How can I help? And someone asks, what do you guys do? Here is just a sample video that I took from YouTube about contractors. And they can play the video directly within the browser about, here's a quick video of what we do. You can also add more filtering options if you offer different services. Let's say you did plumbing, you did roof placements, you also did solar. Then somebody would ask, okay, well, what video do you want to watch? Or what are you most interested in? And then if it's about plumbing, then you'd have your customer service reps talk about plumbing. If it's about solar, it would be talking about solar. This just gives it a lot more life and it's a lot more engaging, especially because people don't receive information in the same manner. So some people like to read things. Some people like to listen to things. Some people like to watch things. We're trying to target as many audiences as possible and give them multiple options. You can even add a section that says, hey, look, do you want to watch a video or do you want me to just write it? Okay, great. Now we understand the purpose of it. How do we actually go ahead and build it? It's super simple. From the main menu starting, once again, we have the what do you guys do? So if anybody says that, following this blue line, you'll see right here, all we've done, it's two cards. One of them is just a text card that says, hey, here's a quick video of what we do. The second one is an iframe embed of the video link that we want them to watch. Now, to make this for yourself, all I have to do is go back to the VoiceGlow download, and you're going to see one that says website embed. Go ahead, copy that, paste it into your project. All you want to do is change this link to whatever it is that you want them to watch. Now, in order to get this link, because this isn't just any YouTube link, you have to use the embed feature on YouTube. Also, you got to do that. So if you starting from YouTube, right, whatever video you want them to watch, you cannot simply copy and paste the YouTube link. What you're going to want to do is right click on the YouTube link and it's going to say something like copy embed code. This is what you're going to want to see. Now, once you have your embed code, go back into VoiceFlow and copy it into the action body, paste into the action body. Now, delete everything that is in between these two quotations. This is apparently just to help with the sizing issues. But once you go ahead and done that, you have now embedded a video within your VoiceFlow bot. That simple. And just like that, we are officially done with the voice glow aspect of things. What I'm going to talk about now is how to connect your robot to ChatGPT, how to connect it to Airtable in order to actually have a functioning system that you can go ahead and implement on your website, start either generating more leads or just streamlining your customer operations. Starting from VoiceFlow once again, what we're going to work on right now, it's the Ask a Question section, which is going to lead us to the Q&A component. If I click on here, you're going to see that it's actually pretty straightforward. It looks like it's looping a lot, but once I run through it, it should be pretty straightforward. There's basically two different components or two sections. On one hand, you have the first time that anybody goes to, which starts from the continue action right here. All it says is, what would you like to know? Then we're just capturing the entire reply to a last utterance. And then what we're doing is we're creating an identifier. What this is we're just giving a number. Whenever somebody goes through this node, generating a number between 0 and 1 billion. You can have this as high as you want. The entire purpose of it is to create a unique identifier for each user. Because what happens afterwards is that we're going to send whatever question that they had to RelevanceAI, which I'm going to talk about in just 1 second. But whenever we send stuff to RelevanceAI, every time that we send something through, it's going to consider it as a new request. So if somebody says, hey, what do you guys do? And then the answer is, well, we do these 3 things. Well, if somebody said, okay, well, tell me more about the second thing. When the response comes back, the relevance isn't going to understand what people mean by what the second thing. It has more context of the conversation. So the way we actually combat that is we're going to create an Airtable that has all the conversations, which look like this. The first time we send a message through, we're generating an identifier. But every time that we reroute through the same conversation, then it's the same identifier. So we're just saying, hey, look, pull all the data from Airtable that has this identifier, and that is the context of the conversation, which basically effectively gives our robot memory. Now, it may sound a bit confusing when said like that, but as I walk through it, hopefully it'll make a lot more sense. So once we create an identifier, the second thing we're doing is we're sending a question to relevance. And what we've done is we've set the last utterance to a variable called API questions. Now, jumping into RelevanceAI, which I've spoken about at length, and I think is a fantastic, fantastic tool. If you haven't signed up for it just yet, this is basically a way to connect ChatGPT to VoiceFlow. So first thing I would go ahead and do if you've never used Relevance is to go ahead and create an account. Their Discord is super responsive. So if any issues come up that I can answer, then feel free to just chop it into the Discord. They should be able to help you out. But whenever you are in Relevance, once you create a new tool, go into build, and there's plenty of videos about how to use Relevance in general. This is really just for this specific use case. Let me know if you guys want like an overall view of all the different things you can do, or just if there's a specific use case you want me to cover as well. But what we've done for this specific example is there's basically 2 different things that we have to establish in the beginning. The first one is, what knowledge does this have? Well, when I say knowledge, I mean, what documents is it aware of? So if you have a plumbing company, as I have here, for example, there's the area that people work with. Do you work with guarantees? What's your warranty like? Are you insured? Are you recognized by X association? All of these things that ChatGPT wouldn't know by itself, we have to give it knowledge about your company and your data. So what we've done is we just compiled a list of I found a plumbing website, copied all the information on their website, and that is good enough for this example. In production, you would actually either want to talk, if you're creating this for yourself, you just take all the questions that people usually ask you, like the top 20 most common questions, and then put them in a PDF document, one that says question, one that says answer. And then that can be your knowledge base. I would also just copy all the information from your website to a big text document. There you go. It's really not more complicated than that. Afterwards, you're going to set up 2 user inputs. The first one is API question, spelled like this. The second one is API is identifier. Now, users aren't actually inputting anything in this. This is going to be using it through its API. So this is going to be automatically populated. After that, what you're going to want to do is use a API call to Airtable. And in order to find this API call, let's jump to Airtable. Now, I know I'm using a lot of different tools, but I think the learning curve isn't super steep, thankfully, because these tools have become pretty massively adopted by the general population. So most of these tools have a huge help section, except for Voice Glow, because that is brand new. But jumping into Airtable, once you have your table, you're going to want to call conversations. And then we set up these 4 columns. They submitted, API question, API response, and identifier. Date submitted is generated automatically through an automation right here, that whenever a new record is created, we are simply running a little code that says whenever a new record is created, it's like basically take note of the date. The 3 columns you're going to set up, one of them is API question, which is going to be the question that the user asked. This is also going to be automatically uploaded by Relevance. API response, which is going to be what does ChatGPT have to say about said question, and then identifier, which is the same for every conversation with the same user. Once you are in Airtable, click on the top right and go down to API documentation. You're going to want to look for a table called conversations. Scroll down, retrieve a record, and then Airtable makes it super simple where you can just copy and paste this all the way here. And you're going to want to stop at conversations. Copy and paste that into the get request. And what I've done, by the way, if you have any issues, right, with trying to retrieve specific information, all you have to do, and this is what we did. I just took this, I put into ChatGPT and say, hey, look, I'm trying to get this question, or I'm trying to get these records. How can I do so? But what we've done here is we basically just sorted them from the most recent, from the identifier, being identifier this, and identifier is sent over from VoiceFlow. And this is then going to return the last, I believe it's either 2 or 4 conversation records that have that identifier. So if my identifier is 1 for this example, if I come here and I say, hello, press 1, this should return, if I've done everything correctly, this should only return the API question that has hello with a question mark. So if I go and run this, there we go. Now, if I put identifier 1, 2, and I run this, it shouldn't return anything. There we go. The reason why this is like this is that if a new identifier is created and that doesn't have any conversation history, that is telling ChatGPT that this is a new conversation. So there is no context to it. You can answer as if this is a brand new conversation. That is the importance of setting the identifier up, is to be able to have a conversational or a natural flow to the conversation. Once we've gotten the recent records, we're then going to also send another post request to the same Airtable, now with the question that the user just asked. And all we're doing is, look, send records as API question plus the identifier. After that, we're then using an LLM node to basically answer said question. And the prompt's pretty simple. Context, then we're giving it the knowledge, which we can use curly braces to access. We're then using API question as the question, answer, and we're telling it this is the chat log, which is the response that we got from Airtable whenever we pulled the conversation. So if this is empty, that means that there is no chat log. Apart from that, once we have the answer that we want, we're then sending that answer to Airtable as the answer for that specific question. Pretty straightforward. I know there's a lot to go through. Feel free to pause and just take a look around or rewatch it. But all in all, that is how we're connecting relevance to VoiceFlow. So actually go ahead and implement them. What you're going to do is you scroll up, go to use, then go to API. And that is going to be, you're going to have your endpoint as well as your parameters. Copy your endpoint, go back into VoiceFlow and set up a new post request. What you want to do is the link that I showed you. So this thing, put it right here. Headers is content type -type. And then the value is application/JSON. And in raw, what you're going to want to do, and this is important, is open the curly braces, params, open curly brace, API question, and make sure that the API question that you have here is curly braces API question, and identifier, and then the project ID, which you can also get from that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you connect relevance to VoiceFlow. Now, once we actually have the answer for relevance, there's 3 types of answer. In the problem we told it, it's either answer the question if the user asked. If the user wants to book an appointment, let's say somebody says, book me an appointment, fine. Then we want the LLM to only answer with the words book an appointment. If the LLM isn't sure, or if ChatGPT isn't sure about what question they are asking for, if something completely irrelevant, or that they simply don't know, we don't want to start making up stuff. So we gave it an out and so look, if you aren't sure about what it is that the user wants, or you're not sure how to answer it, just respond with, I don't know. The way we're using that is right after the LLM answers, there is a if statement. It says, look, if API response is the exact words book an appointment, go to the book appointment section, which is the get lead info. If the response is I don't know, go to the failsafe, which is simply going to drag it right here and say, look, it seems like I'm having trouble answering your question. Please call us for assistance. And if it's anything else, give the response to the user. And then the response always ends with a question. So then we're then capturing that answer and then capturing the entire reply to the last utterance. And we're then sending that question back into relevance, and the whole cycle starts all over again. And just like that, you have effectively a conversational bot that can direct the customers. And also, if they do want to book an appointment after talking to it, it will automatically go into the next flow, which will connect into your account. And we are in the home stretch. Now, the last thing that's going to happen in this assistant is that let's say somebody does want to book an appointment. Where do they go? They go to the get lead info section. They go to the Calendly one. But after they go through all of that, they're then taken to this sort of flow, which is back in the home page. This one I'm not going to include it because it's pretty straightforward make automation where we're notifying the customer, we're notifying ourselves, we're notifying the user that, hey, look, we just received your information. And then it says, we received your info, Calendly embed, fantastic. Right after the Calendly goes through, it says, thank you. If there's anything, was there anything else I can help with? If yes, it's going back into the Q&A, which is going back to relevance. And if it's something else or they don't need anything else, it says, thank you. If you need anything, please reach out. And just like that, you have a fully functioning, fully smart AI assistant. Now, there's plenty of improvements to be made. Even in some of my previous videos, I talk about different ways to create dashboards or to be able to get more information about the user, see how your bot's performing. But as an example, this is a really, really solid way to get started. The one thing I didn't really go over in this video was the make automations to be able to, get notified. It would look something like this, right? It's pretty straightforward. You get a webhook. If there's a complaint, you update an Airtable, you send an email to yourself and you just basically copy and paste that for different things that can happen, right? From complaints to appointments booked to fail safes, that sort of thing. Pretty straightforward. And I have made other videos about how to make these automations. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. If I missed anything, if any improvement suggestions, please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in the next video.